On Tech News Today, everybody wants something. Apple wants to automate your home. Google wants to put cameras in your home. And an Iranian judge wants Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg to show up in court to answer for Facebook's privacy policies. All that and more coming up right now.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Tuesday, May 27th, 2014. Welcome to Tech News Today. My name is Mike Elgin.
There we go. See, it throws you off when you don't have all the pieces. I'm Jason Howell. How's it going?
I need an ad, Jason. I need an ad. Tech News Today explores the big stories of the day with some of the world's best journalists. Our guest co-anchor this week is Natalie Morris, a contributor to NBC and co-founder of ReadQuick, a speed reading app for iOS, and an extremely popular person in the TNT chat room and question engine. Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you for that little endorsement. Welcome.
Yeah,
to you too.
You have legions of fans in these chat rooms.
They like me.
Yes, they do.
They really like me.
They do. Well, Natalie, welcome. Congratulations, and let's celebrate Geek Pride Day. I know you're one of us. Geek Pride. This day is designed to commemorate the 1977 launch of Star Wars. On this day in 1977, can you believe it? You were probably about 0 years old back then.
I was -1.
Yeah.
I was in utero.
There you go. I was a little kid, and I remember standing in line. The line went around the corner for Star Wars. It was quite an event, and we remember, the special effects was the big deal. Now we look at the special effects, and we're like, holy mackerel, that is...
They're still pretty darn good compared to a lot of other special effects of the time. Like, Star Wars held up for the most part. It's, of course it doesn't hold a candle to what they can do today. But.
Absolutely. But it's just amazing how your ability to sort of register how special effects evolve.
Yeah.
If you could take one of today's movies and go back in time to 1977, it would be so believable that people would swear that this stuff was really happening.
Yeah.
Because our minds sort of evolve with the technology. It's also Towel Day, which is from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I didn't get you anything for these.
We should have worn towels.
And
in fact, Jason is wearing towels.
What does that have to do with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? I only got through the first book.
Jason, would you like to explain this?
No, all I ever think of is South Park. Don't forget to bring a towel on Towel Day, and I know that that's wrong. So there you go.
Something about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes.
It'll be explained to us. But anyway, these things are combined into Geek Day, so it's
Wait, nobody knows? I read the first book, but I don't remember a reference to a towel.
I remember it vaguely, but I don't remember it specifically. I think I read that many, many years ago, probably while I was standing in line for Star Wars. But anyway, there it is, Geek Day. What are you going to do? So right now what's happening is that there's an LG event where they're unveiling the G3 smartphone, and that launched right at the top of the hour. So let's tune into this event and see if they can get past the corporate blather and to a product launch.
But more simplicity.
See, smartphones require a large amount of research, and they contain a multitude
no such luck.
technologies.
I think we're going to have to check in on this here in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll report it as the news comes in. But basically, the rumors have been talking about a G3 phone. There's lots of details already spilled out there. So I don't think there are going to be a lot of surprises, but this is going to be LG's big flagship phone. So that's kind of exciting news. So why don't we just go ahead and get into some other news while
it will be exciting news, and we'll tell you all about it tomorrow, I'm sure.
Exactly. Well, the Financial Times reported yesterday that Apple is going to launch a smart home platform next week at its WWDC event. The new system is based on iOS and would turn iPhones and iPads into remote controls for smart appliances, and we'll cover the event live next week as they announce this and hopefully other things. There's also, Natalie Morris, supposed to be a mystery hardware product coming out. Some people are saying it's the iWatch. Others are saying it's another tablet or something. Who knows? But this is really inevitable news, I think, Natalie Morris, for Apple to get into the smart home business for one simple reason, which is that they're already a leader in that market. Essentially, if you look at Kickstarter and some of the other crowdfunding sites, most of the home automation applications, they're coming out as mobile apps, are on the iPhone. And I've covered this space quite heavily for a number of publications. And Apple really dominates it without doing anything, simply because of a coincidence between the type of people who would do home automation and the type of people who would own Apple products. Those two groups kind of overlap quite a bit, and also it's just it's kind of a no-brainer. So if you look at the market for these things, you're going to see Belkin's Wemo product, very heavy support and early support for iOS, SmartThings, Zigbee, Kivo, Nest, Philips Hue. All these things that allow you to control light bulbs and other home appliances.
Right.
These are
the
all
August, the home locks. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a really interesting space. Do you ever do home automation, Natalie? Are you into that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of it. In fact, I've just asked my husband for a crock pot that you can then set with your. I think it's also a Belkin product.
That's a Belkin product.
I'm excited about that one because I'd love to do that while I'm out and about and see how long my roasts are taking. But I'm into this space a lot. It seems like Apple's not going to do a whole lot from their own manufacturing standpoint, but they're going to support this a lot more officially. This post here in The Verge says it could be that they use iBeacon, which other retailers already have been using to sense when you come in the house, things turn on the way you want them to. That's pretty neat, but I don't think it's going to be like they have an eye lamp or something. What if it's like the clapper where you walk in and they're like, this is super original.
The eye clapper. Yeah. Yeah, it's a new API and a new platform. So they're going to be essentially getting in front of the parade that is already marching down the street and essentially have standards around this. One of the interesting things about this is that they're emphasizing security. So there are lots of home automation initiatives all over the place. There are companies that most of us in the consumer electronics space rarely talk about. They're relatively large companies that have been around for a relatively large amount of time, and they are all trying to create a platform that everybody's going to embrace. But there are so many of these standards out there that there is no leader. Everybody's been, well, not everybody, a lot of people have been expecting, myself included, that Apple would be one of the leaders for the new world of smartphone-based home automation. And I think that there are three reasons why that's the case. The first is that you mentioned it, iBeacon. iBeacon is an indoor location system that enables, a home automation system to know pretty much where you are in the home. So, for example, if you're in the kitchen, it'll know the difference between when you're in the kitchen and when you're in the dining room, which could be really powerful for home automation products. So that's one resource. Another one is Siri. Siri is a natural interface for home automation. Walk in the house and just talk to your house and just say, turn on the air conditioner and turn off the TV, and this stuff could happen. And the third one is the iWatch, the rumored smartwatch that Apple has been supposedly working on. And this is a great interface as well because you can you don't have to have your phone on you. You can just use the watch by, again, probably talking through Siri. And so these are resources that Apple can bring to bear. But of course, the mother of all resources is the iOS itself, which is a platform that is a development platform that has an app store that has all these things that the larger ecosystem of home automation companies can take advantage of to instantly have a pretty good audience. They also have, retail stores. They already, in fact, sell. The Nest thermostat has been for sale in the Apple stores. The Wemo stuff has been for sale in the Apple store. So Apple's got a lot to offer for home automation companies.
But if I look at my phone now, that space is kind of where the App Store was maybe 5 or 10 years ago because it's kludgy. If I want to control the lights, I have to open one app, which is the Hue. If I want to control the Dropcam and see my baby sleeping right now, that's something else. If I want to, get into any of my Belkin products, we have that on a timer. That's a different app. So I have them all in one folder, but that's not satisfying, right? So there's got to be a way that they can talk to each other even better rather than Apple supporting one or another developer. I think maybe they'll make that a little bit more seamless. There's a lot to be put together in that broken space, but we clearly want it.
Yeah, you really nailed it. I mean, I've used the Belkin Wemo switch, and they've made it as good as you can possibly make it. For example, I walk into my son's house, and he has this as well into his apartment, and you can't turn off the living room lights unless you have the app. So I'm always switching phones. So every time I go to his house, I have a different phone, and I don't have the app installed. But downloading and installing the app and then turning off the light takes literally about 20 seconds. But I don't want a single app for a single light bulb. That's a terrible way to do it. You need some, that's not automation. You know what I mean? That's very manual, and it's harder than just flipping a switch on the light switch. So yeah, something has to happen. That's a big thing that has to happen here, where it needs to be integrated and made intelligent, so you can just have it come in, light come on when you walk in the room. And again, that's where iBeacon comes in. Or you can just use a voice command, or you have a central control panel with everything, the TV, the lights, the crock pot, everything in one place.
Or maybe this third device could be the device that's not portable. Some kind of like home wall-mounted iOS device would be super neat, because then, you know, you sort of could, I don't know. The other night, my sister-in-law and her husband, they spent the night and they had to sleep on the couch. And they said, we couldn't figure out how to turn this light off. And they walked around the room, you know, like flipping all the light switches, and it wouldn't work because it's on a Belkin. Yeah. So they had to just unplug it. They couldn't figure it out. But maybe if we left something like this controls the television and then also the lights and also the crock pot, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
I don't know that the crock pot's so necessary. It seems like I cook a lot with crock pot, but I don't.
Okay, let's talk about the crock pot for a second, because the crock pot is necessary from a psychological standpoint. If you're going to do slow cooking like that, you're essentially leaving a burner going in your house when you leave. And that's a disconcerting, psychologically troubling thing to do. But people do it anyway because, you know, they're hungry and they want to eat. So having a connection to that through your smartphone is psychologically satisfying. Even if it's not technically or logically necessary, it's psychologically satisfying. And that's where a lot of home automation is going to really make it great. I mean, it's psychologically satisfying to walk up and have the door automatically unlock just for you, and then lock behind you when you close it without you doing anything, for the lights to come on, for the stereo to come on, the TV to come on, and, you know, the whatever, the coffee to start brewing when you get up in the morning. That sort of thing happening automatically is not necessary. Nobody needs it. But it's cool and it's fun and it feels good, and that's what's going to really drive this category.
Right, and you can make it a lot more energy efficient as well. A lot of times I wish that I could preheat my oven. I don't use the crock pot a lot, if I'm going to be a purist about it. I don't think you can season well when it comes to dishes on that kind of cooking, but I use it to make chicken stock a lot, or some other kind. So to have that going, that I feel comfortable with, because I know it will turn itself off. But when I get home, a lot of times I want to put something in the oven and then I have to wait 20 minutes until that's ready, and that annoys me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what they announce exactly and to see who jumps on board. They'll probably announce it, if they do announce it, with partners on board already testing the stuff. So that's going to be a great week next week to see what they do. In vaguely related news, Google's talking to Dropcam about an acquisition, according to the news site The Information. Dropcam makes $150 cameras that stream and upload video to the cloud. And, of course, Natalie Morris, we have Dropcams here. If you go to twit.tv/dropcams, you can see our Big Brother situation that we have here at the Twit Brick House, where we have cameras all over the studio 24/7 recording what we do. That's what Dropcam does. They have these cloud-based sort of home cameras that can be used for security, for, you know, if you're watching the video, this is the, Jason's putting this up on the screen. This is a really cool thing. Sometimes I use this to see, you know, who's in the office, if I'm going to come in and, you know, whatever. It's really fun to see behind the scenes. And there we go.
Takes a second and then it'll buffer, and there we go.
Yeah.
Having a good time there, I see.
So Dropcam is actually
That's Party Central.
Kind of a cool company. And what's interesting about these two stories that we're putting back to back here, Natalie Morris, is that Apple's big push is all about security. We are going to protect your data. We're going to launch this thing. And the reason we're doing it is because we're a knight in shining armor coming to rescue from all these disparate home automation solutions that are not secure. We, Apple, are going to make it secure. Now Google's having conversations. Again, these are just early conversations. We don't know what stage they are in these conversations. And they're saying, we're going to buy Dropcam. And what that means is that Google will have, I guess, theoretical access to cameras in your home. And the initial reaction that everybody's having is, wait a minute, we don't want Google cameras in our home.
Right, because Dropcam, they do have to route that video through their servers in their office in order to send that to the internet or your mobile app. So that video is only as secure as Dropcam is. Now, I've had Dropcams for years, and I trust them that they're not watching what I'm up to just because I like the company. But what if someday someone decided they wanted to watch something? I don't know. Yeah, you have to really trust that company and know how it's going. And it's only as secure as your username and password. So if you're using the same username all over the place, then people are going to log in and watch your baby monitor. That's what happened in Texas last summer.
Yeah. And of course, a lot of this is psychological. We already trust companies to not snoop on our stuff. If you have a computer,
for the most part, yeah.
If you have a computer, it's going to have a camera on it. If you have a laptop, it has a built-in camera. If you have a smartphone or a tablet, it has a camera. If you have Xbox, you have a camera. There are cameras already all over your house that are controlled by Apple, Google, Microsoft, other companies, theoretically, and we expect them to not spy on us, or we expect them to spy on us in some cases where they actually admit that they're going to do this. Microsoft, for example, has patents for technology where they watch and listen to who and what is in a room, in your living room, so that they can serve contextual advertising to you based on who's in the room and what people are doing and what people are saying and that sort of thing. That creeps everybody out. But of course, the protection that we have from the kind of snooping that people tend to fear is not whether or not we have cameras. We already have cameras in our homes. What we need is safeguards and policies and also security so that it doesn't actually happen when we don't want it to happen.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And some of those drop cams have microphones, so you can speak into them. My husband's done that to me a couple of times when he's been traveling, and speak into the drop cam while I'm sitting there reading in the middle of the night and just says something creepy that sounds like a ghost. It's terrible. So you don't want that to happen with anyone else.
Dropcam also has another product called Dropcam Tabs, which is a motion sensor that you can essentially stick to any surface, and then you can tell it what to tell you when that motion sensor goes into motion. So for example, you can put it on a window, and when somebody opens a window, you can get a message on your smartphone that says somebody just opened the window. You put it on a door, you can put it on the doggy door, you can put it on a device, a laptop or something like that, and it alerts you to motion. This isn't a camera, and it's not a microphone, it's simply a motion detector, and it's kind of a cool little device. It's very, very simple form of security and just awareness for what's going on in your home.
Yeah, that's kind of neat, although it doesn't have a location-based sensor, so it doesn't tell you where, like there's this video of the little girl putting it on her laptop and then going off to school. So it doesn't tell you where she is, even though she's just taken it about.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. You just know.
But they're so cheap, they're like $20, right?
That's right. So you can get a gross of them. They're also great here at Twit. You can put them on your lunch. So if Jason or somebody else wants to steal your lunch, then you get notified, you know. Jason is
there are ways around that. I'm not going to go into that here, but when you want a lunch, you get a lunch.
All right.
You got to be a bit more high-tech about it.
Well, like, I have the feeling I'm going to lose my lunch.
Electric shock.
A few Apple users in Australia are saying that their Apple products are being hijacked and held for ransom. Someone or some group appears to be infiltrating the Find My iPhone feature via iCloud, remotely locking the devices, and then sending a message to screens asking for $100 to unlock them. This sounds like a really great racket, Natalie Morris. You know, this is one of the problems I think that we have with Find My iPhone and for activation lock. The fact is that you can lock an iPhone remotely, and it's so good at really locking your device that it's subject to problems, people losing their passwords, they can't get in, and this sort of thing where they can be hacked, somebody can take over the system and essentially lock you out of your own device unless you pay up.
Right, but it seems like a bit of a joke because they said, send money to this PayPal address. And PayPal said, we don't even have an email address for an account like that. So anyone who did send money to that address, nothing happened. So were they not really trying to, this person, Oleg Pliss is the name of the person who held responsibility for this.
Yeah, it's likely to be more of a prank.
It seems like a stupid joke than anything else.
Exactly. But the key thing is, how are they getting access to the accounts? Because it's happened to several Australian users and probably one American user. And just the question is, how is a single, you know, you assume that it's a single person or a single group doing this. How is this one person or one group getting access to multiple iCloud accounts to people? Is there a list out there that's in the wild?
And there was users who had a passcode on the home screen could just get past it with their passcode. So whatever hack this is didn't go that far. But people who had no passcode on their device found themselves locked out.
Yeah.
So that at least seemed to be one layer of security that they couldn't get past.
And Apple has not commented, and PayPal has said that they'll refund any money taken. But as you said, so far that it hasn't happened because the email address that the hijackers are using isn't real. So still very interesting development for Apple security, because Apple is, in fact, deserves a lot of credit for the security of their devices. And this is one case when they're having problems potentially. And we'll see if this spreads globally. Right now it's mostly, again, in Australia.
But this is the second time in just 2 weeks that we've had a story about someone proving that they can break into Apple's products. Not really wanting anything, but just showing that it could be done.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
the Find My Phone hack that we talked about just last week was another example. So people are trying to prove that Apple is not that much more secure than everyone else. It just didn't used to be popular to hack into Apple computing devices.
And presumably when Apple comes out with a statement on all this, we'll report it here on Tech News Today. Well, an Iranian judge summoned Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg to address privacy complaints about Facebook-owned WhatsApp and Instagram. Yeah, that's right. He called him to go to Iran and appear in court. The judge also ordered that the government block both sites in that country. An Iranian internet official referred to Facebook CEO as the, quote, Zionist director of the company of Facebook, unquote. Earlier this month, an Iranian government committee that governs criminal web content also called for a ban on WhatsApp. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani refused the ban, even though he's a huge Twitter fanboy. Meanwhile, a Facebook group of Iranian women called My Stealthy Freedom is causing a stir in the country because they're posting pictures of themselves without a hijab covering their hair, the headscarf. The group triggered a counterpage opposing the women, and another group triggered a counterpage opposing the women called, quote, identify advocates of debauchery in cyberspace, unquote. It sought to identify women posting pictures of themselves on Facebook and have them punished with whipping and prison time. The site appears to have been taken down, probably by Facebook. Natalie, this is yet another case in which a government is having problems with the fact that people can do pretty much what they want on Facebook and other social media. So it's quite an interesting thing, precisely because the president, Hassan Rouhani, is in favor of social media. The guy's hugely active on Twitter, even though Twitter is banned in Iran. And so,
right.
you know, this is a case where women are, you know, they're protesting the requirement to wear a headscarf by posting pictures of themselves not wearing a headscarf.
And if you think of the bravery that this actually necessitates, you know, women in Iran can face up to 70 lashes for being seen in public in insufficient clothing. They can be sent to prison. This is not a movement that you can do on the internet without risking your identity. People are making this statement with their faces, risking their own personal safety. Whereas, you know, had they want to made this statement in another way or for something else, they could do so anonymously on the web. But, you know, they're showing a lot of bravado by doing so and suffering as a result. Some people are posting that they are in support of this, and then some other people, like, you know, particularly people who are threatened by this are writing things on there like rape. They're asking to be raped. This is, you know, but how do you, we notice with the Arab Spring, how do you change a dominant way of thinking? You have to be brave about it. You have to be willing to stand up. So this is what these women are showing that they're willing to do. It's just the rest of us who don't have this kind of risk are like, oh, I hope no one hurts them. Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, and within Iran, of course, it's highly controversial. These women have a whole lot of supporters there. And of course, within the government, it's hugely controversial about whether you have an opening up and an embrace of social media and some degree of freedom, or whether you crack down and bring the country back to the 7th century. And I know there are women who also feel like the hijab is it affords them freedom. I know a friend who works at a university in Turkey, and she said that when that university banned them, the headscarves, those women felt very unsafe. They had never been uncovered that way. So it really is a matter of perspective. And so it's not for us to say they should or should not have to wear them. It's to them to say what they feel most comfortable with. Yep. Well, it's interesting to see Facebook at the center of this particular one. Twitter was at the center of Turkey's recent weird bans. And so, you know, if you're a despotic leadership, you got to pick your social network to attack because there's so many to choose from. Jason, you've been monitoring the LG event. What do you have to report for us?
Well, they've had, first of all the leaks that have kind of led up to this, for the most part, have come true. Here, I can just kind of throw the video on the screen. Not a whole lot to see right now, but they're basically talking all about the device. Their emphasis on simplicity. They say simple is the new smart, so that's obviously kind of their focus here. Making a lot of to-do about the camera, which has a laser autofocus. It's a first among smartphones. A 13-megapixel sensor there. Has a quad-core Snapdragon 801 processor, up to 3 gigs of RAM. 32 gigs of storage with a micro SD card slot, and 5.5-inch quad HD display. That's 538 pixels per inch. They say it matches in the print world, you know, what people working in the print world expect out of their magazines and their newspapers and all that kind of stuff. And certainly that's the highest pixel per inch I've seen. It's 2560 by 1440 resolution.
And if you want to find out more about LG's announcement, you need to tune in to All About Android tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific, starring the lovely and talented Jason Howell.
We'll definitely be talking about it tonight.
Yeah, so tune in.
But I mean, seriously, like a quad HD display, 538 pixels per inch. Necessary? I don't know. I want to see it, though, because that probably looks pretty cool.
Oh, come on.
It's pretty.
None of this stuff is necessary.
No, nothing. Yes, fair enough.
We still want it. Well, the Chinese government is testing the banning of IBM servers from Chinese banks, according to a Bloomberg exclusive. The reason is either concerned about NSA snooping or retaliation for U.S. accusations of Chinese government cyber espionage. Also, the U.S. is striking back by thinking about preventing Chinese hackers from attending American security conferences. This is a full-blown, Natalie Morris, this is a full-blown Cold War between the United States and China over hacking, why we're hacking, who's hacking who, and where the hacking is appearing. It's quite an interesting development.
It's just a fight with words right now. Like, hey, I don't think I trust you. Well, then I don't think I trust you. Well, then your people can't come to my party. Well, then your people can't come to my party. So, but it's an ideological warfare. Yeah. Like they're taking their white gloves and smacking each other across the face.
That's right. And it's just the beginning. I have the feeling this is, and it's all good too, because in my opinion, it's bringing lots of light to the fact that who's hacking whom and for what purpose, and where these compromises are likely to take place, in what products, what hardware products, what software products, what services. And so, you know, the end result is that we learn who's hacking what, and that is good. And speaking of who's hacking what, Glenn Greenwald, the journalist who NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden actually blew the whistle to, intends to release a list of American citizens targeted by NSA surveillance. The list will appear with a story on the Intercept site. Natalie Morris, I finished the book, No Place to Hide, last night, finally. And that is a great book. That is a great, great book. This is you know, just to recap, Glenn Greenwald is the journalist that Edward Snowden basically sought out and handpicked to be the person to leak this information. And supposedly the reason is that Glenn Greenwald is a really tenacious, he is a former lawyer. He doesn't have a huge background in journalism, but he is a journalist. And Glenn Greenwald apparently knew that he would stick with it even as he came under attack, which inevitably he was and is under attack. He's been sort of trashed by the mainstream media, and there's a lot of that information in the book itself. There's a chapter near the end of the book called The Fifth Estate, where Glenn Greenwald talks about the sort of reflexive vilification of both Edward Snowden and Glenn Greenwald, and goes into great detail about why that happens in a sort of democracy like ours. But it's a fascinating book, and I think everybody should read it. There are a couple of arguments that Greenwald makes that I think are kind of not that great in terms of being arguments. But for the most part, the details and the facts in the book are, you know, speak for themselves, and it's just a really fantastic book.
So he talks about how he was approached, and is it like movie caliber salaciousness? Like, I didn't know if this guy was for real kind of stuff.
It's absolutely movie caliber, and in fact, they are going to be making a movie about it. This news hit, I think it's Sony Pictures, if I'm not mistaken, and it's going to be a great movie. The book essentially starts with exactly what you're saying. Snowden contacted him. He didn't know who this guy was, and Snowden says, I want to talk to you. I have something huge to tell you, but first you have to install some really good encryption. And Greenwald's like, I don't have time to learn how to do encryption. So, you know, and so months actually went by, and eventually a documentary filmmaker approached Greenwald saying, hey, you know, this person has some information, and Greenwald didn't know it was the same person until so you remember the video of Greenwald in the Hong Kong hotel, the famous video. Well, that was shot by this by the documentary filmmaker partner of Glenn Greenwald in that hotel room, and Glenn Greenwald was sitting there asking the questions. So that puts into context that whole video, why it took place the way that it did, where it was, under what circumstances that was done, and it takes us through the entire process of trotting out this details about how the Guardian newspaper didn't want to. You know, they needed to talk to their lawyers, and they needed to talk to the NSA, and he was like really disappointed because he thought the Guardian was a different kind of a newspaper, and then there's tons of drama like that, but eventually the news got out, and the rest is history. And it's a fascinating story, and it's going to be a really great movie, or should be a great movie, because the details are all there. The facts are just hugely important to all of us. And so, I recommend the book, and eventually I may recommend the movie.
All right. Do you think you'll be on the list?
Oh, when they come out with it, I hope so. No, I doubt it. I doubt it. I'm a pretty innocuous person. I don't really write about politics or any of that kind of stuff. I don't really talk about. Well, actually, we do talk a lot about the NSA on this show, but I doubt that I'm on the list. But I'd be thrilled if I am. That would be a dream.
Such validation.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. May put me on the no-fly zone or something like that, which wouldn't be fun. But I wouldn't mind being on the NSA's secret list of having been surveilled.
It'd be inconvenient, but still so punk rock.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, Natalie, that is the Tech News Today. I want to thank you for coming on Tech News Today as our guest co-anchor today, Friday, and also the rest of the week. So we're looking forward to having you here all week long.
All right. I'll see you tomorrow. No goodbyes necessary.
All right. Well, thank you so much. You can subscribe to Tech News Today at twit.tv/TNT. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tech News Today. And please follow us on Twitter, Tech News Today TV. And we want to hear from you. Comment on Twitter or Google+ using the hashtag TechNewsToday, or send us an email at tnt@twit.tv. You can also leave voicemail by calling 260-TNT-SHOW. Don't miss our evening newscast, Tech News Tonight, at 4 p.m. Pacific tonight and every weeknight. And don't miss All About Android tonight at 5 p.m., where we're going to be talking about, Jason, will be talking about the LG announcement. My name is Mike Elgin. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.